everyone, my name is Stephanie and I'd like to take the chance to share with you guys a quick review on a book I just finished reading titled Travels with Charly by John Steinbeck. In the book, Steinbeck discusses on a more personal level his experience and his adventure on a trip he takes throughout the United States. His purpose for taking this trip was to interact with his fellow Americans, learn about their daily routines, and learn about their struggles. Steinbeck decides to take this trip around the year 1960, a year where society was changing and some political issues had arose, and Steinbeck wanted to see how Americans were reacting to these issues and how these problems were affecting Americans throughout the United States. Steinbeck discusses some of the encounters that he has throughout the United States. He talks about some of the people that he met, but what popped out to me was how he got very emotional when he talked about him coming across southern states in which he encountered a lot of hatred towards African Americans. And Steinbeck writes about him being a fan of change, about him believing that the world needs to evolve to be better. And he decides to begin his trip in Rhode Island and just camp out all through these southern states and then come back. On this trip, he decides to only take his French poodle named Charly because he believes this is a one man's job, and he leaves behind his wife and he talks about being judged by his fellow peers, telling him that the travel was unnecessary, that there was no point. But Steinbeck also talks about him always wanting to travel as a young boy, and he decides to take this trip around his late 50s, early 60s, because he then had no responsibility, you could say, and his wife encouraged him to take this trip, go on this trip, to get on a more personal level with Americans. And Steinbeck writes a lot of American literature, so he wanted to get in touch with Americans, to learn about their ways, learn how it is to live in different states, how every state reacts differently, and he wanted to write all of this down in kind of a diary, but not a diary, a book in which he titles it Travels with Charly. For me, I thought Travels with Charly was a fantastic book. It's not fascinating. It's his experiences are very interesting. However, this book would not be the type of book I'd recommend to my peers because of Steinbeck's choice in words. He's a very formal writer, but his writing is not for people my age. So overall, I believed Travels with Charly was a very good book. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd rate it a 7. He gets in touch with his audience by using emotions, letting his audience know how he feels, letting his audience see, get a visual effect on how these encounters were for him. And I believe this was a great book. I don't regret reading it, and it was great. Thank you.